How's it going, everybody? We've got a general news for the RLCS today, all encompassing some of it about players being paid on time or not being paid on time. We'll have to wait and see and kind of give my insight on that one. We've also got conversations about one of the key members of the Rocket League esports staff not being included at Rotterdam, and a whole bunch more. As always, if you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, notifications, but let's jump straight into it. First things first, you saw a tweet come out by Team Liquid player Atal stating, "Still don't have my RLCS money from the spring split," laughing emoji. And in subtweets of that, you started seeing a bunch of other players also chime in. "I need my money from the regional in January." Same, and also from winter split. Me neither. Me neither, however you want to say it. Either way, a bunch of players talking about how they haven't gotten payments. Since then, those tweets have been deleted. So there's a lot to unpack about this one. I can talk from my own personal experience back when I was with RLCS. There was times where my management and my agency had to foot the bill out of their own pocket to make sure I got paid on time because payments from Psyonix took too long. Now, I've seen this happen in the past and kind of want to give you both sides of the coin. Sometimes this is due to legalities and like making sure things are approved, and sometimes it is just bad scheduling and poor Psyonix. This should never be a thing. This should be a precedent that is set, especially for some of the people like Virtuoso who have been in your scene for a really long time. These processes have been the same since Epic took over, I would assume, and it's a matter of putting in your information correctly and everything else. Devil's advocate, I wouldn't be surprised, as this has happened in the past, where players have been reached out to numerous times and said, "Hey, I need you to submit this information. I need you to fill it out correctly. I need you to make sure everything's spelled right. You have to do these things so we can make sure we bill you for tax reasons and everything else." And the players either A, don't respond, or B, just don't do it. So two sides to every coin, but there's this big stink about how players aren't being paid on time and that Psyonix is kind of going in a downward trend. If this was Twitter, blah, 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 like a bunch of different memes that ended up coming out. Either way, there's two sides to every story. So I have been on the receiving end of this, and sometimes it just has been late payments. And luckily I had management to help me and back that for me out of their own pocket until they got compensated by Psyonix. So I was getting paid on time, which again, I'll always take time to give credit to my support staff because I love what they do and what they do for me. But on the other side, sometimes this is the people that are just the way that the payment process is set up. And if you've ever played in like a Twitch Rivals or anything like that, is you fill out information and you associate that to Epic Games. Epic Games then has like a form and everything that you fill out with tax information and everything else. And once that is all done, it's like a 3-step process. It's very quick and very easy to do. And once that's done, then they're in your system and then they just output the payments. It's good to go. I literally just did one of these, and my own experience is I played a Twitch Rivals back in June, and I just got an approval process last week, which is like 6 months later. It's kind of iffy. So usually net 30 or net 60, 30 days or 60 days after is when you should be paid. And this is well past that. So some concerns in that regard, and hopefully things speed up and they get better about this. But again, both sides, a little bit of insight. Sometimes this stuff happens. But either way, from just a third-party perspective looking at this, these payments are happening way too late. You're talking last regional in like spring or winter. That's a long time ago. I mean, that was last year's prizing. So some stuff to consider. Hopefully it gets cleaned up. So that's the big one. The next one is a long-standing player. Siki from the OCE scene has decided to officially retire from competitive Rocket League. If you don't know Siki, a player who has kind of bounced around from different teams for the past couple seasons now, but primarily and most notable is Season 8 World Champions, where he ended up own goaling to end us from the most painful game of Rocket League we've ever seen, which was that 8-minute overtime versus Veloce. Kind of rough that that's Siki's claim to fame, but Siki was like a star, like offensive player and kind of revitalized that team. I think it was like CJ, Siki, and Torres was the original roster. I would have to go back and try to think about it, but yeah, a team that, again, has seen some highs and lows, but has performed in international competition. Lovely human, and big fan of him as he's been in the scene. But just talks about how, especially with his age being a factor, it's time to kind of hang it up. He's got 2 years of university still to go. He's going to put his focus in on that. So thanks to all of his teammates and all that kind of stuff. But on to the next step. And he says, time to pass the torch to Torres, is now the oldest OCE vet, which is pretty crazy to think about, that Torres, who was playing as like the OG keyboard and mouse player and everything else, but is now technically the last like kind of OCE vet remaining. Drippe is gone. Jake isn't there anymore as a player. CJ is gone. So a lot of the old guard are gone. I mean, heck, Kami went to South Korea and is now playing for the APAC scene under James Cheese. So Wild stuff. But OC, a lot of the old guard starting to hang it up. Up next, one that's pretty unfortunate is the statistician. You guys have heard me talk about DRekt numerous times on this channel. Unfortunately, will not be going to Rotterdam, which I think is a massive loss and a massive short-sighted thing. This used to happen a lot back in the day as well when I was still with the RLCS. We had Slock, who was behind one of the statistician websites like Octane.gg and all that kind of stuff. And it was really helpful for us to be able to have these stat people ready to go. Like if I am ready to go and start for a match, or I need to prep last second, or I just found out what the results are for this match and I need some crazy cool stats that I can use to supplement the broadcast. I need that person there right here, right now, and not have to deal with the technology that may be delayed or the Wi-Fi that's not working. I just need to be able to pull that information and then just go and do my thing. And it's really important to have those people there. As someone who has obviously worked in the esports industry for 7 years now as broadcast talent, having a statistician is so helpful, and you can see the direct impact DRekt has made on the space. So for him to not go there is kind of weird. He does talk about that it is his birthday week, so he's considered going as a fan, but obviously with monetary things, going to Rotterdam is pretty expensive. You see a lot of the broadcast talent as well reply to his post, talking about the importance of him being there and that they're going to miss him and all this kind of stuff. He and I also had a conversation in my Twitch chat a couple days ago, and he mentions, the biggest issue is that casters will have far less stat prep for each individual series, which is true. In the Swiss stage, you're talking 33 best of fives, and you don't know which next match you are casting, let alone preparing for, because they are based upon game differential. Like, you don't get to know ahead of time. Obviously, you have your base level stuff, but if I need to pull those stats and I want to provide that supplemental content to drive home a point, I need that stuff spur the moment. And if he's not there, makes it kind of complicated, which I think is a pretty heavy loss. I think DRekt has definitely proven his worth over the years and what he helps. So he talks about, they have to come to me the day of, if not right before, since they don't always know who they have. And there's a ton of things that you can pull from replays that ball chasing and stuff doesn't, with a lot of data in the replays as we kind of got more in detail about what some of the options are. But he says he can't wait and hopefully has one day the ability to get more in-depth stats without having to do it manually. So again, there's a lot of things that he's trying to do, but I do think him not being there is kind of short-sighted and is something that I hope Sonics learns to allocate funding for, because it is really important to have that part of the team, because there is some really cool and important stats that he puts out that just are like eye-opening. You're like, holy cow, like I didn't know that. That's awesome. And it's something that is a standard in traditional sports. I mean, you look at traditional sports and the crazy stats that they pull out. I was watching a match today and they talk about quarterbacks who run over a surplus of X amount of times have never made a Super Bowl win happen and stuff like that. And they were talking about how one of the quarterbacks is well over that and he's taking a beating and he's getting hit a bunch more. So you're worried about long-term going into the playoffs. And it's certain narratives like that that you can't do without stats backing it, because it's one thing to say those things, but to not have specific information as a supporting, it doesn't work. So really unfortunate to not see DRekt going. Hopefully he does get to go and attend as a fan and have a good time. Either way, I think if he does go as a fan, I really hope that he, as kind of petty as it is, does not help them in any way, because he needs to showcase that it is his value that is worthwhile. And by him not being there, they can't just abuse it because he paid for his own way. So something hopefully that he takes from it, and hopefully everybody here watching this video takes from it as well. Again, if you guys have made it this far in this video, I appreciate you. Like, subscribe, notifications, all that fun stuff. Last but not least, we've been seeing a lot of content creators kind of get in and take over the whole supporting the amateur scene, which I've got a fun video for that tomorrow. So you definitely want to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. One in particular is Widow, who is a content creator for Gen G, and has announced that she is going to be doing a 1v1 up-and-coming creator event. It is Widow's Wacky Whataburger 1v1 Tourney. That's a lot of W's. Whataburger, obviously, for those that don't know, is a big fast food chain that focuses on burgers. But the premises is this went down on November 28th, and they had 24 up-and-coming Rocket League content creators, and they were competing for a Whataburger branded Xbox Series X. So pretty crazy stuff that you're starting to see. And again, you never know how those results go down. So if you do want to see those details, you can always check it out in Wikipedia and look it up. Pretty easy to find. So some cool stuff going around the scene as everybody kind of sits and waits for the major to begin in just a week from today. In the meantime, though, if you guys want to come hang out, I'm going to try to do some international scrims like I always do before the majors, before I fly out, as I will officially be going to Rotterdam now. So hope to see you guys all there. But yeah, anything you want to see, let me know. Comments, questions, concerns down below. Stop by the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Lawler. Hopefully we'll be doing some international scrims leading up to me leaving, and some pretty heavy announcements coming up soon. So Gotta make sure you don't miss out on those. Like, subscribe, notifications, and we'll see you in the near future. Peace.